to go on mute.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. How is everyone tonight?
Doing fine. Getting set up.
Yep.
For some reason I can't see the chat.
Oh.
Hmm.
On mine, I see the slides and then a couple of us to the side, and it's covering the chat.
Oh, hold on. There we go. Every time I hit click, it moves the slide. All right. We're getting there. All right, looks like we've got about 122 and counting. We'll just wait a minute or two just to see if we get any other joiners because there's a steady stream of folks entering the room. Not unlike an in-person meeting.
Hey, what did we think of the Obama town hall? Wasn't that wonderful? What people needed to hear.
It was great. Loved
Yeah.
it.
Makes me very nostalgic.
I didn't cry for once, which is unusual, but
Yeah.
Well,
All right, well, we're after. Sorry, was someone going to say something?
no, I was saying we could at least gossip until you started the meeting, and now you're starting the meeting, so I withdraw that remark.
Yeah, I can see the counter of people joining and it has slowed. And I want to be respectful of folks' time, and I'm also cognizant of just how many slides are in this deck. So I think we should go ahead and get started. So let me welcome everyone to the June monthly meeting of the Arlington Democrats. I'm Jill Cayazzo, the chair of the Arlington Democrats. It's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight via Zoom. We remain socially distancing during the public health crisis. If I could please ask you Zoom experts at this point to please place yourself on mute so that we can reduce the amount of background noise. That would be extremely helpful as we go forward. We do have the chat enabled, so if you have questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the chat and we will seek to address them. So with that, I'll get us kicked off on this, this meeting, which comes at a very interesting and difficult time in our country's history. We would be remiss in not acknowledging what is happening outside our very doors across the river and across the country with respect to the current crisis concerning racial equity. There were a number of you who suggested to me that we should begin the meeting with a moment of silence, which I have reflected upon, but I want to speak some truths. And the first truth I want to say is this: I think that that silence is part of the problem. And for an organization which unfortunately is largely dominated by white people, silence is not an option for us. So while silence is certainly appropriate to acknowledge the tremendous loss of life that has occurred and to honor those who have died, I want us to have a moment of action here and to really embrace that action in our daily lives. All of us, regardless of the color of our skins, have an opportunity in this historic moment to make something of it, to try to help to make change in our own ways, big and small. So rather than a moment of silence, I ask you for a moment of action. And in that spirit, our first agenda item, which is our social media challenge, is going to be focused on racial equity. So as is it's our tradition, if you take out your phone or go to your browser and go to Facebook, head to the Arlington Dems Facebook page, you will see pinned to the top of that page a post that looks like what is on your screen right now. It is a post that asks you to act against racism. And we are suggesting, at least in this initial volley, 5 specific actions that you can take that are listed on our website that anyone can take. Even if you are concerned rightfully about the health crisis that we're in and do not want to participate in protests, you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's okay. There are actions that you can take in support of the movement. And so what we're trying to highlight with this post is the fact that there are these actions that are available on our website. So what we would ask you to do is find this post and click share or like to push it into your networks so that people have an opportunity to take a look at these actions and hopefully take them. We've gotten a great deal of good feedback about these actions. People found them accessible and they are looking for ways to get involved, to the extent that they are not out there on the streets in protests. And so I think that you will find that this message will be well received in your network, and that will help to move the ball a little bit, at least in terms of continuing the momentum that we have right now on this really important issue. So as you're doing that, let me just take you through what the 5 actions are that we are recommending. First, we suggest that you join an anti-racist organization. And the organization that I personally support is the Arlington branch of the NAACP. They're doing great things, and it is a really wonderful way to connect within the community. You can find the NAACP website on the Take Action Against Racism page that you see there on the bottom of this slide. Join, be a member tonight. They would love to have you at the NAACP. But if that's not your particular cup of tea for whatever reason, find another anti-racist organization, but get involved. Follow that organization's lead in terms of things that you can do in your community to really make this moment last and to endure. The second thing that we are suggesting is that you consider donating to a bail fund. If you don't know what that is, check out the link. Basically, cash bail, it disproportionately impacts African Americans and people of color by placing them in jail as they're awaiting trial. It does not help public safety, but it sure does increase the incarceration rate for our communities of color. Research this issue, learn about it, talk to our Commonwealth's attorney. She has been a leader on this issue. And if you feel as strongly as I do that this is something that needs to end because it does not help public safety, but does increase our over-incarceration problem, get involved in that issue. The third thing that you can do, read an anti-racist book. There's plenty of them out there. We've got a list of suggestions linked on our website. Check it out. Read it with your family or share it with friends. It's a great way to just get out of sort of your own headspace where you may think that you know what racism is, you know its impacts, you know what white privilege is. Perhaps you do, perhaps you don't. There's really only one way to find out, which is to educate yourself. This is something that I need to do more of. And so I'm committing to doing that. And so we've put it on the list. Another option that you have is to support Black-owned businesses. Restaurants is a great option. We've put some links on our webpage of restaurants in DC and appreciate the lead that we got for Black-owned restaurants in Virginia as well. So that is now also on our website. So that's a great way to show your support. And then finally, make a plan to do more. What else can you do to help us with this crisis? So think about it. It's an important issue. It's something that is worthy of our time and effort. And so really we were asking folks to take these actions. And another thing that you can do is to consider signing on to this statement that I emailed out to our precinct captains and our steering committee members in advance of the meeting. But it's a statement in support of an appropriate response to the current crisis. And that response, we think it should be action-oriented. We are action-oriented at Arlington Democrats. And so the statement walks through a number of actions that we feel are important to take. It calls for concrete actions that the federal government should take with respect to ending chokeholds, that I'm just telling the police that is not an okay thing to do. to ask Virginia, to require Virginia to have its police forces trained in de-escalation, to pay for that training, to make sure that that happens, to make sure that the party itself is incorporating anti-racist viewpoints and making sure that our internal processes are appropriate and that they are inclusive of voices that need to be heard. And also supporting our county board in its review of the mutual agreement acts that led to the Arlington Police Force being pulled into this unconstitutional action that was taken by the administration earlier this week against peaceful protesters in Lafayette Park. It is appropriate that they pulled back the police when they found out what was happening, and it is appropriate that they are reviewing the agreements that led to that situation in the first place. So that's what the statement says. And you've got a link there. I think Maggie also plopped a link there into the chat room, so you have an opportunity to check it out. But I am supporting this statement. This is coming from me as the chair of the Arlington Democrats. I'm here tonight to ask you if you will support this statement with me, that you will help and really to take action on items that will advance the anti-racist agenda that really we must advance in this time. Take the momentum and move forward with it. Do something with it that's positive. So we're going to do this sort of like a regular vote of the committee. I would just love if you agree with this statement, if you stand with me, and if you stand with communities of color with respect to this statement, if you could please check your little green yes box in the sort of the participant section in the Zoom. And I'd love to see some support from the committee on this very important topic. So go ahead, if you agree, please click your green buttons. Okay, I'm seeing some green buttons. I think folks are probably also reading it, which is fair, but I'm seeing quite a few green buttons. I have strongly suspect this is going to be a long meeting, so folks, you will have time to take a look and take a closer look at that statement. We certainly also will make it available on our website. So thank you for your consideration of that. Thank you for everything that you are doing and will do to continue the fight for racial equity in our country. Let us seize this moment and try to make something good out of the terrible, terrible things that have happening that have just simply been caught on camera recently, but have been happening for centuries. So thank you for that. Okay, we're going to move on to voting items, and we only have one this month, and basically we are looking to appoint members to the steering committee as well as to appoint new precinct captains to 2 of our precincts. If you will have the list here on the page in front of you, this list was also emailed out to the voting members of the committee in advance of the meeting, but we are looking to formalize a few appointments that have been sort of de facto for a little while now. I'm delighted that Phoebe Carlson is coming on officially to the social media comms team. She's been doing great work behind the scenes, in which we appreciate. Robert Julian and Barbara Favola are officially joining the joint campaign, stepping up to help make sure that we get Democrats over the finish line on November 3rd in this most important election of our lives. Scott McConnell is officially joining the technology team. He was a huge help with the school board caucus, and he's been a great help behind the scenes with our tech initiatives. Our special election campaign task force members, Phoebe Carlson and John Chandler, are leading the charge to make sure we get Takis Karantanis over the finish line on July 7th in that county board special election. We'll be hearing much more about that later in this meeting. And then finally, we are delighted as always to welcome new precinct captains to the fold, Jacob Erda in Roslyn and Benjamin Nichols in Navy League. So I am looking for an motion to appoint these fine folks to the various positions that I listed.
So moved.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Great. All right. So if you are in favor, please go ahead and click your green buttons to the extent you can find them. They are again on the participant panel, and I think there was also some additional instructions that were placed in the Zoom. And I'm going to wait for Maggie to let me know how that's looking. Looking pretty good so far. Okay. We've got 89 yeses. And I understand some of you are having technical difficulties. Let me pause and just see if we have any no's. So if you're a no, go ahead and click no. I just want to make sure that the lack of responses is more a reflection of perhaps folks are still reading the statement or still figuring out Zoom as opposed to actual opposition. And if you can't figure out the Zoom, or if you can't find the green button, I see Steve just put in the chat a yes, that's helpful as well. Okay, so I believe that based on what I'm saying, I'm not seeing any red no's, so I believe that this motion passes. So thank you very much for that. And we will move on to our next agenda item, which is an update on our nominations and endorsements. Okay, it has been an extremely busy month on this front. And so first off, I would like to extend a warm congratulations to our school board endorsees. Sorry about the graffiti, guys, but we're delighted to announce that yesterday our school board caucus completed, and Christina Diaz-Torres and David Pretty were identified as your choices for the Democratic nominees to school board. So congratulations to them both. We're very excited. I also want to say that we are grateful to the other 3 candidates who sought our endorsement, Stephen Krieger, Sandy Munnell, and Tyrone Sims. It's hard to run for office, folks. It takes a lot, and we are grateful that they were willing to step up and seek the endorsement. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the incredible work of the school board caucus team. They literally moved a mountain over the past 2 months to make sure that there would be Democrats on the ballot in November, which is so important to making sure that we can coalesce behind those candidates, pool our community resources, and get them over the finish line. So thank you to the school board caucus team. You have no idea the hundreds and hundreds of hours that was spent to get to this great result. Of course, there were no bad choices, but we're delighted to have Christina and David as our endorsees. I understand that they were going to plan to join us tonight. I do want to give them an opportunity if they'd like to just, say hello, say a few words. So let me see if they're there. Christina, David?
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for participating in what was a record-setting caucus. It was so incredible to see so many people participating in the midst of a pandemic, and it was just really wonderful to watch. I so appreciate all of you who voted for the Collaborative Framework for Education Governance. I truly believe that with everyone at the table that we can make outcomes improve for kids. That being said, there are still a couple of steps left to make sure that David and I end up on the ballot. So I know that Jill has this later on in the slides, but we are asking for assistance getting petitions signed to make sure that we get on the ballot. And so there's going to be some logistics on the next slide, but I ask for your assistance in making sure that we can both get on this ballot. Thank you all so much, and I appreciate all of your notes and congratulations as well.
Thanks,
I'd
Christina.
like to,
David?
yeah, thank you. I'd like to echo that sentiment and say, and thank you for, very thankful and humbled to be part of the, your endorsee for the caucus. I look forward to promoting democratic values and being on the historic ticket that defeats Trump in November. Let's win this.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, thank you both so much. As Christina mentioned, we're off to a fast start in terms of supporting our candidates. Both of them must collect 125 ballot signatures in order to be placed on the ballot, which is normally not a huge lift, but given that we are still in a period of social distancing, is more challenging this year than normal. Because we're having this meeting tonight, which happens to fall in the period between the end of the caucus and the actual deadline to submit those signatures, we're asking for your help. So as you will see, the campaigns have set up a couple of depots where they are collecting signatures for both candidates. If you go there, you will be able to sign the petitions in a socially distanced and safe manner. Of course, we are always maintaining our focus on the public health crisis and making sure we're behaving safely for our community. But if you go to these depots, they will take care of you with disinfectants and appropriate social distancing. You can see the locations, the depot leader, the days and times. All of this is this week. It's got to happen right away, which is why we're asking for your help. So if you've got some time in the next few days, head on over to one of these depots and put a signature on the petitions. You can hit, kill two birds with one stone. You'll be able to help both candidates at once. And that is the first way you can help our joint campaign ticket by doing this and getting our school board candidates on the ballot. Okay. Then we're going to move on to the next endorsement and nomination process that we conducted within the past month. So last meeting we talked about the nomination process, but hadn't actually gotten a winner yet. We were able to do that calculation the following day and announce that Takis Karantanis had indeed secured the nomination for the July 7th County Board special election. We're delighted to have him as our nominee and to support him. We do, of course, want to thank our other candidates who ran in this race under very unusual circumstances. Chanda Chun, Barbara Cannonen, and Nicole Merline were terrific. Again, no bad choices, but we are honored and proud to be supporting Takis in this special election fight, which, let's be clear, is a fight. We have two other candidates who are in the race, one Republican and one independent. We take nothing for granted here at Arlington Democrats. And so we will keep fighting until July 7th to make sure we get Takis over the finish line. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Takis. I see that there are a couple of comments in the chat that I just want to address. We always make these slides available on our website. And so we will do that tonight as we normally do. And so you will be able to see the depot addresses. And I think also I may ask our comms team to make sure that we put this in an upcoming actions that you can take email. So be on the lookout for that email blast as well. That said, I am sure that Christina and David will have this information available to you. So this is a great opportunity to head on over to their respective websites, sign up for their email distribution lists and get that information about the depots. So there's a little bit of a plug for their email list for you. Okay, so we're going to move on over to Takis and have him provide a few remarks. I do want to take a pause and ask our Zoom moderator, Maggie, if there's anything that she can do about the graffiti that's appeared on the screen.
So I've been trying for the past 20 minutes. I think it's actually someone's personal annotations that are for some reason showing up on everyone's. So I'm going to try and stop sharing while Takis talks and see if we can reset.
Okay, so with that, we're going on over to Takis. So Takis, we're going to take down the slides, at least for a moment. I know you had a few slides in here. We will make sure that we get to them, but we'd love to go ahead with your remarks, and apologies for the technical difficulty.
Hey, it is not supposed to be perfect. It's a work in progress in every possible dimension. So Arlington Democrats, good evening. Hello. Thank you. This is the moment to really thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm Takis Karantanis, your immigrant from Greece, who is your nominee for the July 7th special election to the Arlington County Board. As we all know, the seat became vacant due to the premature death and gut-wrenching death of my very dear friend, Eric Gutschall. Some important thanks, first of all, to all of you, to the Arlington Democrats, who represent every precinct and every corner of Arlington, who really reflect the diversity of Arlington, and who come from all walks of life, and who took your nominating duty and role very seriously. Thank you for that. To my three very smart and capable opponents, former opponents, Barbara Cannonen, Chanda Chun, and Nicole Merline, thank you for your commitment to our community, and I will definitely lean on you for advice and support in these 30 days that are left until the special election and of course beyond. And to my enthusiastic campaign team, thank you from the bottom of my heart to Izzy Taveras, my campaign manager, and my formidable partner in life, my wife Lida, and the young Democrats and the older Democrats who are putting so much work in this. I'm running for county board because I believe in Arlington. I want to help to shape our future. I've been active in this amazing community since 2007 when me and my wife landed here. I'm a planner, an economist, an environmentalist, an affordable housing activist. Many of you have heard that already in the many Zoom and greets that we've had in the community. And it's a long curriculum, but it's also a passion for community activism that is driving this campaign. I may be a policy geek, passionate about climate change and sustainability, yet the events of the recent days and months are the stark evidence that it will take more to be a successful board member on our county board. Out of this crisis, the COVID crisis, a very different community will emerge. Our vision for the future may become a little bit blurred, and it will be challenged. But we are not going to sacrifice our values. They are actually going to lead us ahead. No one can honestly tell right now how exactly we will be able to manage our budget in these uncertain times. Yet I can tell you that my progressive values, our progressive values, will inform all our decisions. People first, this is what drives us. And we will listen and go ahead together with our community and get out of this. To the murder of George Floyd. So this really exposes the very ugly truth of systemic racism in our country. We watched it. And that would not have happened to a white American, right? So while Arlington has done a lot right, we are absolutely not immune from the injustices of systemic racism. On Monday, I stood in peaceful protest and solidarity with many others. Over 1,000 of Arlingtonians were along George Mason Drive in the United Universalist Church, and reflecting how we have to fight systemic racism with systemic change. May this moment in history be a call to action for all of us. And these experiences really reinforce my commitment to bring a very sharp equity lens to all the county board work. Arlington must be a just and equitable place for all its residents in housing, in education, in health, in life outcomes. This is really critical. And for this, I need your help. Special elections, like the one we have in front of us in only 34 days, are very tricky and very unpredictable, especially under COVID. Very few people even know that there is a county board election on July 7th. So I need your help to get the word out. Yard signs, phone and text banks, email blasts, inform your friends, your neighbors, vote absentee now, and like us on social media. These are all actions that you can take. And while the polling places will be open on July 7th, I really think that absentee voting will be essential. So I need your help to win and to keep this seat in democratic hands. And for all you do right now, and you will be doing in the next 34 days, thank you. Ευχαριστώ, gracias. And with that, I'm giving that back to Jill. There is a stack of slides that you can share later, especially with a call to action, you know, the essential things.
Okay, let me try. Let's see how we do. Okay. Can you see the slides?
Yes, you're good, Jill.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, there's Takis.
Yes.
All right, Takis, let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Yeah. This is the slide that is about the actionable items, the endorsements. I really thank all our elected officials who have endorsed us so far, and more will be rolling in. This is incredible support for everybody in my campaign, and you know. But right now, it's really about what every single Democrat can do in this community to win this election. And I believe that slide number, I cannot see that, but number 18, 19, something like that.
Okay, 19. That one?
That's what's beginning. So Bayer has,
Okay. There we go.
has endorsed us today. Well, you can advance. But anyway, We will distribute that to everybody who's participating in the meeting, and it will be okay.
Hey, Jill, I think we're seeing the wrong screen for you.
Oh, are you seeing? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is what happens when you redo the
Nope.
tech.
Yeah.
All right. Try it again.
Takisforarlington.com. That's what you need to do, and get in contact with us, and we will get in contact with you. We will respond and get you involved.
Can you see Don Beyer on the screen?
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to try to share slides, Jill?
Well, I think the problem is that I opened it so I could see what. Hold on. How about that one?
Yes, now we see Don.
There's Don Beyer. Okay, apologies for that, Takis, but thank you for those very sincere words. Let me do justice to your endorsements. Takis is endorsed by all of our constitutional officers in Arlington. He's endorsed by IBEW Local 26 Labor Union, the full Arlington delegation to the General Assembly, and of course our beloved Congressman Don Beyer, and many more to come. So Arlington Democrats, it is up to us to get Takis over the finish line. How can we do that? First, foremost, do it right now. Request your ballot today. We are encouraging everyone to vote absentee by mail, given the current public health crisis. You can request it easily online. If you go to arldemsvote.org, you will have there the link to the official requests page. You will have a step-by-step guide about how to request your ballot. You will find there information if you need a witness to your actual ballot execution, which is a requirement in Virginia. You will find out how we will get you a Democratic witness using social distancing measures. Lots of great information there. arldemsvote.org. Request your absentee ballot today. We want everyone voting absentee by mail to ensure that we're being as safe as possible. So that's my next action item for you tonight, is to get that done. But wait, there's more. There's plenty of things that you can do to support Takis. As he said, he's got about a month to go in this extraordinary special election. That is not a lot of time to inform Arlington voters that we have a special election. We are calling as many of them as possible to let them know. It is the absolute most impactful thing that you can do, is to make these phone calls. I will acknowledge up front, a lot of folks think they don't like phone banking. I say think, because in fact, phone banking in a special election is terrific. And phone banking in a special election in a pandemic is surprisingly great, because people are home, so they'll answer the phone and they're somewhat bored, and they have no idea that a special election is happening. And so they're grateful for the information. I promise you that this is the best phone banking that you are ever going to do. And you can speak passionately about our outstanding candidate. You can give people important voting information that they want. Please do this. Please commit to making a few phone calls so that we can get Takis on the county board, so that he can advance policies that are important to us. We are making phone calls every single day. You can fit it into your schedule within reasonable hours to phone people at home. We've got the links on the page here to sign up. You can either go to Facebook or Mobilize to sign up, and we will get you lists of folks to call. Again, this is the most impactful thing that you can do to help Takis. So, dig deep, folks. We need you to make these phone calls to let people know that there's a special election. Other activities that we've got underway, you're going to hear a little bit later about chalking the vote, making sure that we're attacking the streets and trails, with our chalked messages about voting in the special election. And I would encourage you also to sign up on Takis's website for his mailing list, where you will learn more information about volunteer activities specific to his campaign. I know you're already signed up on our mailing list, so you'll be hearing from us as well. We'll be distributing yard signs in the coming weekend, and I believe we have a full complement of volunteers for that, so thanks for that. But we'll need volunteers to help get those yard signs out to the polling locations. We'll be writing postcards and lots more. So there's plenty of things that you can do. Take the actions on this slide right here today to get signed up and ready to go to support Takis. 1 month to go, folks. Not a guarantee, 2 other opponents on the ballot. Do not take this for granted. We need Takis on the board. We need him to be the champion of the issues that Eric cared so much about. No one can take Eric's place, and Takis is not trying to do that. But what Takis is trying to do is be a champion for the issues that Eric advanced while he was on the county board. And they are important issues to Arlington County, like housing affordability. We need someone to pick up the mantle and to be that champion again. Takis is the guy. We're behind him 100%. Please make the phone calls, take the actions on this slide that we need to do to get him over the finish line. So thank you guys. I know you'll do it. And thank you, Takis, for being out there and running. We really appreciate it. All right. The next action you can do to support Takis is another social media call to action. I forgot I added this in here. But if you go back to our Facebook page, and if you look there, we published at 7:15 a new post that looks a lot like this. And we want to make sure that folks do know that we have a special election. It's a low information sort of election. This will help us to spread the word about both the special election and our outstanding candidate. So if you could please find that post that was issued at 7:15, hit share or like to make sure it gets into your network. That'll help us with our digital advertising, which we are gearing up to implement as well shortly. But this is organic and free and helps us out a lot, and it makes sure that your network knows that they've got to show up and vote for Takis on July 7th, or to request an absentee ballot prior to that. Okay, you have heard plenty from me for about half an hour now, and now it's time to let some other folks talk about what is happening in our committee. And I would like to turn things over to Carol Fontaine, the head of precinct operations, to let us know what is going on in the 54 voting precincts in Arlington. Carol? Carol, you might be on mute. Or perhaps Fran.
I'm here. I was just on mute. Sorry. Hi, Jill. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. I was just trying to say that I can attest to the fact that phone banking for Takis is really easy. It takes about 2 minutes to learn how to do it. You can do it during the day. There's a script that they provide you. If the person doesn't answer the phone, you just read the script, and just making contact with people and letting them know that the election is happening is more than half of the battle. There's so many people who don't know. And so I really encourage you guys to sign up. So I've missed the last 2 meetings. It's good to be with you all again. These are sad, scary, and really challenging times. And I think it's important, all of us do, that we stay together, that we think together, and we work together to make the changes that are so desperately needed. So the first thing that I want to do is congratulate our 2 new precinct captains that we just elected, Ben Nichols in Navy League and Jacob Erda in Roslyn. I saw that they're both here. Welcome aboard, guys. We're really glad to have you. We're going to need you. Thank you, thank you. And I want to talk a little bit about what precinct captains do for those of you who I hope are new and might be interested in joining our precinct teams. The thing about Arlington, I say this a lot, Arlington's job is to be the difference in keeping Virginia blue. And every single year, our job is to get out every single last Democratic vote in Arlington. We do that every year. We do make a difference, and we're good at it, but it takes a lot of people and a lot of volunteers, and a lot of that work actually happens at the precinct level. Jill, can you go to the next slide, please? So what precinct captains do is they're the face and the voice of Democrats in their neighborhoods. They build a network of volunteers to share the thinking and the work. It's a lot of work, but the more people who can think about it. What is unique about this particular precinct? Where and how do we get out every single last Democratic vote in this particular precinct? And having a team of people who can think together about that can really make a difference. The precinct captains spread the information to their neighbors and friends and voters about how to register to vote, where to vote, what the hours are, and of course, who the Democratic candidates are. And this year, our precinct captains will be recruiting volunteers to do whatever is going to pass for canvassing and whatever is going to pass for distributing sample ballots for our November candidates. We don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll figure out a way that is safe. Jill has been very, very clear all along that the safety of our volunteers and voters is of prime importance. But we do need to let our voters know who the Democratic candidates are. Anyway, the next slide, Jill, please. We have precinct captain vacancies in several of our 54 precincts, but these are the ones where we especially need help. You don't have to live in the precinct to be a precinct captain, but if you vote at Randolph School or Melwood or Walter Reed or Key School or any other place and you'd like to be a precinct captain or learn more about it, please contact me, Carol Fontaine, at precinctoperations@arlingtondemocrats.org. And going forward, slide, Jill, please. Precinct Operations is going to continue having our Zoom meetings by area. Those have been going really well. And I think we're going to continue doing those next year and the year after. They're really, really handy. We're also hosting Zoom meet and greets with Takis to meet volunteers in the different areas. We're pushing absentee by mail to our volunteers and their networks and our precinct captains and as many voters as we can reach. We're of course continuing to recruit volunteers and precinct captains. And something that many of you or new people might not know about is our Building Ambassador program. And these are residents who live in multi-unit buildings who help us let other people know in their buildings about the special election, absentee by mail voting, how to register, and that kind of thing. So if you live in a high rise or a garden apartment, we need your help. Please contact Richard Skinner at MUBS, M-U-B-S, at arlingtondemocrats.org. And that's it for Precinct Ops for right now. Thank you all very much. Take care and be well.
Thank you so much, Carol, for all that you and Fran and all the precinct captains out there and the vice chairs are doing in precinct operations during this challenging time. Thank you. You've been hosting meet and greets for Takis, which is really helpful to getting the word out in the community. I do want to acknowledge that we are considering doing poll greeting for July 7th. And so that's something that the precinct captains will be and have gotten some information about already. As Carol mentioned, our guiding principle during this entire health crisis is that we are putting the health and safety of volunteers and voters first, full stop. And so we will be recruiting for poll greeters now, because if we don't start now, we won't get it done. But it's a contingency plan, and we're going to be looking very closely at what the public health situation is in a month to see if this is something that we feel comfortable doing. So I did want to acknowledge that, that's something that you will be hearing about. But again, safety remains our #1 concern as we move forward in this very strange election period. While you were talking, Carol, I did take an opportunity to review the chat, and I just want to acknowledge a few comments that have come in. First, I love the creativity folks are suggesting that we can join debates that other organizations are having for our county board special election. Fully agree. That's a great way to show your support for Takis. And so that information should be available on Takis's webpage and as well the Arlington Democrats Facebook and calendar pages. And if they're not there, we'll certainly be getting them up there as we see them come through from those organizations that are hosting the debates. Same will be true for school board, and we will get that information up there as soon as those events are scheduled. A number of you asked for additional information that you'll need in order to do effective phone banking. I want to reassure you that the Takis campaign will give you all of the information that you need to make the phone calls and to respond to questions from voters. If you feel like the packet of info that you've gotten from the campaign is missing something, please let them know. Let Izzy know. And we'll get that packet updated so that you can make as many effective phone calls as possible. Again, it is the most impactful thing that you can do to help Democrats in the next month is to make phone calls for Takis. So please do that right now. Sign up right now. All right, moving right along in our agenda. I want to move us over to voter support, which has been a hot
Jill-
topic.
Jill,
Sorry.
can I just say, I'll post this link to the sign up for phone banking into the chat. And also, I just wanted to say with regard to poll greeting, it's going to be totally voluntary. I mean, of course,
always
it's
is.
volunteers anyway. We are not going to do the kind of normal push that we do in November. We're not going to worry about going from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's, you know, as you have said, as we just, you know, reinforced it, the safety of our volunteers. So, you know, whatever we can work with, and we've thought about ways to do it that we think will be fairly safe. So
Yeah. No,
Okay.
no contact with voters, for example. So
oh,
something
totally.
more information to come on that topic. For sure. So we'll be getting that information out there if you feel comfortable doing it. And we decide to move forward with that. We'd love to have you. Okay, we are moving on to voter support. It's been a hot topic this spring because there has been so much going on in terms of school board caucus, special election nomination process, special election, primary got canceled. Marcia's been worked off her feet. But we're fortunate to have such a great leader in Marcia, who's been putting out great information about voting in Arlington, and I will turn things over to her. Marcia.
Okay, I'm off mute. Hey, everybody, you can go to the next one, Jill. But before I get into it though, I just wanted to say that, you know, a lot of the stuff that's gone on, school board caucus and stuff, those guys just did everything. And it's been wonderful to see how everybody just pitches in right away. And like you said, moves mountains. So for voter support, we're gonna start with the essentials. As Jill has already mentioned, in addition to phoning for Takis, make sure that you and everybody you know gets their absentee ballot request in very soon. I mean, the deadline is June 30th. However, we have been urging for the last month that you do it as soon as possible, given sometimes overwhelming for the mail service and stuff. So just go online, request your ballot. If you're already registered, it's cool, it's easy. Do that. That's June 30th is the deadline. So make sure everybody you know who votes in Arlington knows to do that right now. There is in-person voting, but we're not recommending it. So the deadline to return it is on election day, 7 p.m. So, you know, worst case, you can drop it off if you didn't mail it. Absentee, they do have in-person voting right now until the 4th, if you feel like doing that. We also are not recommending that either. For those people who want to take the risk, it is available. And we aren't going to be poll greeting, but we are phone banking. We are going to be phone banking, doing some more into our Latino voter population, in addition to voting for Takis. So that's what we're doing to really push this effort. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, November 3rd, we have most of the deadlines set. This is kind of out there, but I just wanted to throw these out. Voter registration deadline, October 13th. It's always kind of middle of the month before. Deadline to request a mail ballot, the 27th of October at 5 p.m. And again, deadline to return it, filled out, election day, 7 p.m. So we don't have exact dates, at least I couldn't find any for any absentee in-person voting. Of course, we have no idea what this pandemic is going to be doing in November. So they may have it, they're having it now. So we will get those dates to you as soon as we know them. We don't know what they're doing at this point. Okay, so that's November. Start thinking about it. It's not that far away. All right, next slide, please. Now, this is the thing I'm most excited about tonight, is to announce that we have a lot more Spanish on the site. And that is many, many thanks to Sandra Brody, our Translation Services Vice Chair, and Jesse Aronson, who is kind of a new member, I think, on the tech team. So I'm just going to let them do a quick, 3-4 minute update on what they did, and give you guys a quick. Well, I was hoping for a quick tour. I think Jesse may try to share his screen. I'm not sure he can do that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I should have asked you, Maggie. I guess he can't do that.
No one else can share screens right now.
Oh, okay. Well, suffice it to say, let them explain what they did anyway. Just a few minutes. So Sandra, if you're there, and Jesse.
Yes. Hello. Buenas noches. So voter support updated and translated fully into Spanish the voter information guide. And this is a resource to find information, current information about how to register to vote, how to request your absentee ballot and vote by mail, information about the 2020 elections, of course, the special election. And there are links and contacts to other resources. The purpose, of course, is to help voters in Arlington, but also to help volunteers with their work and outreach efforts in case we need to refer somebody to like a one-stop resource. So they will be well informed and they will find this information available in English and Spanish. And the voter support, of course, appreciate your input on how this tool works for you. And if there is the need to have the material available in other languages, we will also keep updating the guide as needed. And so this is a work in progress. And Jessie, who is part of the tech team and who has been just absolutely diligent and wonderful, is going to explain how the guide will look in the Arlington Democrat website. So Jessie.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see faces to go with names. I have been handling the majority of the website updates since March, about the time that we all went into lockdown. So I know many people as email addresses. So as Sandra said, we have started adding Spanish content to the website, focusing primarily on the vote section that gives people voter information. If you were to look at the special election page, you'd see that the English content is there, but then there's a little link that says Espanol. I can't show it to you because I can't share my screen. If you click on that, it expands and inserts Spanish content into it. And that's true for the voter registration guide. And we're updating it with more and more all the time. So that's good. There's Spanish content on the screen and on the site. One thing as it stands right now, a Spanish-speaking visitor to our website who arrives at the homepage doesn't necessarily know where that Spanish content is in the site. So the next step will be to put something right on our home screen that is a landing page that points them to all the Spanish content on the site. So that'll make it easier for someone who's not proficient in English to navigate to the information that we have available for them. That's something that's a work in progress right now. And that's really it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jessie, so much for that. And I'm very, very excited about what we have already and looking forward to that homepage where anybody can go and go, oh, great. I know I don't even have to look for it. So this is wonderful. Again, thank you guys so much. So Jill, you can go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to slip to voter registration here. As you guys can see, this is traditional. This was like the last one we did, I think, before the shutdown. This is Paula and Katie and another lady that was assisting them at the big gym over in Ballston. Anyway, it was a good night. And so that's what it normally looks like, face-to-face, exchanging documents. Oh, so not social distancing. So next slide, please. That is something that we don't do anymore, at least for now. So the result of this, obviously, is a lot of you have already seen some of the data coming out of like Virginia Public Access Project. Voter registrations were, whoops, can we go back down one? Yeah, anyway, the voter registrations were down to a fraction of what they normally are in April of a presidential year. So we got to work on this. Okay, you can go to the next slide. And one solution that we have been talking about that we are going to begin to start testing a little bit, I think, touchless voter registration. Some of you may remember that we did little business cards where we use these to link people to the Arlington Dem site as well as to the voter registrar site. So this one particularly is to the page we've been sending people to for registering and for requesting an absentee ballot. It's the state site. So this is part of this project to put these out here on graphics where people can put their phones up to them. You used to need a reader application, which you don't need any longer. Just put a phone camera up to it and it will take you to the website. Okay, next slide, please. So one of the great things about this is, in addition to being touchless, like you don't really have to give someone something that you handled yourself. They can use their own phone. And it resolves a couple issues. A lot of people do not like giving their social security numbers, which you have to put fully on a voter registration form. They don't like giving that to a stranger. They don't have to do that. They can do this on their phone. And it's also done very quickly on the spot. So we don't have to worry about, oh, they took the form, will they send it in? That sort of thing. So this is great for that. Okay, next slide, please. So like I said, we're going to start working on testing this a little bit. We're working on a couple of posters and setting up possibly in outdoor venues, probably more likely in outdoor venues, to see how people react, if it gets response, and if people like it, if it works. And if so, it could be another tool in our toolbox going forward. So if you are interested to help us, if you'd like to try this out, just send an email to us at votersupport@arlingtondemocrats.org. Okay, next slide. And these are some miscellaneous updates in addition to our own voter guide in English and Spanish. An English-only voter guide on Arlington County site has been done, but it's much, much better. Very graphic, really good. You have the link there. You can look it up just by Googling that, I would imagine. It has a lot of details, so you should share that around if you like. A reminder, they are open at the Bozeman Government Building for in-person voting and registration, although technically the date for the July 7th for registration has closed. It's not for absentee ballot requests, but just for registration. If you're not registered, that passed. And voter registration forms, every library should have them outside, even though they're going to be opening for checkouts, I think, before too long. But in the meantime, they have voter registration forms outside. And so you can pick those up if you don't have an at-home printer, and distribute them at will, please. And also we're working on other ways to engage activists. I'll give you more on that next meeting, I hope. So one more thing though, I think. One more. Yeah, Jill. Think. Yeah, oh. Wait, that's Marge, is that, oh, it's just about calling for Takis. Okay, this is for seniors. Sorry, I think Phoebe put this in, which is great. They are also calling for Takis, so this is great. If you want to help Marjorie calling senior voters, send her an email, margehobart@aol.com through June 15th. So there you go. But I have another slide still, a couple left. Right, this is another exciting one. This was again something Jill referenced earlier. For the July 7th special, we have to have people who are voting by mail have to have a witness. And so if you people who live alone, we are providing the rides team, our Rides to the Polls team. Mary and Ann DeLeon is being led by Mary Byrne and Ann DeLeon. Are coordinating this. We've been calling the list of sort of 250 Rides to the Polls voters, telling them about the election, asking them to get an absentee by mail ballot, and finding out if they would need someone to help them to witness their ballot. So that's going well. We expect to finish that June 10th so that we have enough time for them to request a mail ballot. And if you'd like to help out either by being a volunteer witness or doing some calling, go ahead and send an email to rides@arlingtondemocrats.org. And if you know anyone who does live alone and is a Democratic voter, send them our way so we can get them fixed up. And then I think one more slide. Phoebe reminded me we still have wonderful Vote Power t-shirts for anyone, especially if you're doing voter registration, which we might be trying a little bit outside and see if it works. It's a great shirt to wear around. I've had people comment on it when I've just worn it to like IKEA and stuff. So people like it. So it's a great t-shirt. We have a lot of sizes available, and Phoebe can get you one. I think they're $12. That's all.
That's all. That's a lot. Thank you so much, Marsha. Thank you to the voter support team. Sorry that we couldn't let you share your screen. That's one of the security measures that we have in place to help prevent us from being Zoom bombed. But promise you, if you go to arlingtondemocrats.org, to the sites that, to the pages that Jesse mentioned, you will see the great Spanish translation. And as he mentioned, we will make sure that we get that a little bit more prominent on our page going forward. So that's an exciting development. That builds off of the fact that we translated for the first time the school board caucus materials into Spanish, thanks to Sandra's great help. And so we really appreciate we're moving off strong in that direction. So thank you for all those efforts. I love the fact that our precinct captain of the year, Marjorie Hobart, is leading the charge to call seniors for Takis, because again, that is the most impactful thing that you can do to help Takis and really any Democrat in the next month. So please sign up to Phone Bank. You could do it with our precinct captain of the year, Marjorie Hobart.
I will.
All right, moving right along. We are going to move on to outreach, and I'm going to look for our terrific head of outreach, Mike Heminger, to give us an update on what we are doing in the community. Mike?
Hey, everybody. It's Big Mike. I'm the chair of outreach. I'm going to get right into it. If you go to the next slide, if you haven't yet, please save the date. We are doing a roundtable on the proposed constitutional amendment on redistricting. That'll be on the next slide. And then the slide after this, you'll see some speakers that I just want to highlight real briefly. Senator Favola has agreed to join as a panelist, as has Delegate Mark Levine. We look forward to their robust discussion. Next slide, please. Two other speakers that I just briefly want to introduce you to are Cathay Vang. She's the Executive Director at Common Cause. And Mr. Brian Cannon, he's the Executive Director at One Virginia 2021. Once again, save the date, June 18th, 7 p.m. We're still looking for a moderator, so if anybody hasn't taken a position on this, we would love to hear from you. I am going to kick it over to Josh, and he's going to give us an update on Blue Families.
Hey everyone, Josh Kaplowitz with Blue Families. You can go to the next slide. So we have as much as we can, we're doing as much as we can in this era of social distancing to keep our momentum going. The first thing is, this was alluded to earlier when we were talking about ways to help elect Takis, but we're doing a viral, although I guess query whether that word should be used anymore, but we're trying to get chalk drawings, get every Blue family in Arlington to put drawings on their sidewalks, on the street, everywhere, encouraging people to vote absentee, to go to arldemsvote.org and request your ballot for July 7th and also for November 3rd, which you can do right now. So if you have kids, if you have neighbors who have kids, tell them to get out there with their chalk. We have chalk. I have a bunch of chalk. If you need it, you can email. If you've run out of sidewalk chalk, you can email families at arlingtondemocrats.org, and you can pick some up from me. But let's make this go viral. Let's get chalk everywhere. If it rains, put the chalk drawing back out there and remind everyone that we have a special election coming up, and that voting absentee, both in the special and in November, is the safest way to make your voice heard. Speaking of which, so we've been, you know, as everyone knows, we've been doing postcards and letters for months, if not years. Man, something is happening right now. Some combination of, you know, people being cooped up and trying to do something, you know, during the pandemic, and also just this surge of activism driven by the anger over George Floyd and just all of the protests that are going on. We started with a goal of writing what we thought was an ambitious goal of writing 40,000 letters into North Carolina at the beginning of the year. The number of, we've expanded to postcards, particularly postcards to re-register purge voters in states with really bad racist voter suppression. And it's just amazing the outpouring of interest we've had. You know, I thought it was impressive when we had 3,000 postcards requested just in 1 week. We had almost 1,500 postcards requested in one day, yesterday, Tuesday, June 2nd. You know, we want to make sure that everyone who wants to write postcards can write postcards. And so we've upped our goal to 100,000 postcards, or postcards and letters. I think we can blow past it. We're trying to provide people as many options as they can, but like, man, the response has been just completely overwhelming. And but we plan to rise to the challenge. So if you want postcards, if you want precinct captains, if you want to request a bunch of postcards and distribute them in your precincts, please do it. Spread the word. You know, the link is below the you know, the link to the portals to request them. But you know, thanks to Nancy Pilchin and Kim Phillip for being our intrepid postcard distributors. You know, we'll try to turn around your requests within a day or two. But please, let's do this. Let's get a postcard or a letter in every mailbox. You know, right away for the voter registration stuff, and you know, in late October, for getting out the vote. So great work, everyone. And so chalk and postcards and letters. That's all you need to know.
Awesome. And Josh, I just want to thank you. You've really risen to the occasion and you're doing incredible work. Arlington Dems, I'm not sure if you heard, 100,000 postcards. Let's go after it and let's get it. I'm going to send it over to Meredith. She's going to give us an update on business and labor.
Okay, thanks so much. And just want to say, before we move to the next slide, what a beautiful blue wave we have in chalk on that last slide. So thanks very much to Blue Families and all the beautiful sidewalk art that we are seeing that is motivating our community there. So
Sophie Kepler, Heather Kepler's daughter. That's her.
That's just terrific. I just love it. All right. So moving quickly over to our business and labor outreach update. I wanted to draw attention, as we do every month, just to the really incredible and thoughtful community that is being built around our workers and union members through our labor caucus. Keith Willis leads this. He's done a tremendous job. Even in our time of unprecedented change, he has created a virtual community. And so every Thursday at 6 o'clock is when the Labor Caucus meets. You can find that Zoom link on the Arlington Democrats website on our calendar. So just look for us Thursdays at 6 o'clock. We tend to have outside speakers. Every week we are talking with workers about how their lives are changing and their safety or livelihood needs as we all go through this unprecedented change with the pandemic. So please join us and support our workers throughout the county. As well, I think there's a next slide. Okay, there we go, great. We also have a business outreach team, and we have put together in the past some community informational forums that really sought to bring to bear thoughtful debate and discussion on some key issues facing Arlington, bringing in outside experts, and key issues that were important to the business community as well. So we've done housing affordability, we've done the community energy plan. We are next planning 2 different events, one towards the end of July. We'd like to hear from you on issues that you'd like us to cover. The key here is it has to be issues of importance to businesses. And right now our area businesses are going through unprecedented challenges. There's some incredible work that's being done by the AED and the Chamber and other business associations. We want to hear from you on ways that we can be supporting our businesses as well. So please send your ideas, your energies to businessandlabor@arlingtondemocrats.org. We'd love to hear from you on that. We've also, we've heard from Takis tonight. I am so excited for him. Our whole outreach team is excited for him as well. And we'll be exploring doing a virtual forum so Takis can share with members of our community, our broader community, his thoughts on the local economy, the challenges our businesses are facing and how we can be working together to get through this as one community. So with that, I will turn it back over. Oh, one last point on the business outreach side. It's also Arbora Johnson, Doug Snowenboss, and Eric Midbow, our volunteers there. We'd love to hear from you anytime, and thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, Meredith. Really appreciate it. We're going to go over to the next slide and talk a little bit about some of the great work that's being done in our caucuses. We do have some exciting news. We've recently started Facebook groups. And so if you're not aware, we have several issue and identity-based caucuses. Because we can't meet, we are transitioning to Facebook groups. We encourage you to connect with us online. You can visit the Arlington Democrats Facebook page to find some of these groups. And from here, I'll kick it over to Declan.
Hey guys, I'm Declan. I'm the Vice Chair of Caucuses. Jill or Maggie, if you could go to the next slide, appreciate it. We have new caucuses in the works. We're looking for anybody who's interested in a leadership role in any of these caucuses: a disability caucus, environmental equality, which includes the LGBTQIA community, and a women's caucus. So if you're interested, you can email me at caucus, CAUCUS, @arlingtondemocrats.org. And next slide. Our AAPI caucus is partnering with the Interfaith Caucus for a possible call to action. If I'm not mistaken, it's on the hate that's been going on in the community, hate in general, that's affecting everybody, particularly the minority community. Then we're beginning to start postcards for text bank initiatives, reaching out to the Mongolian community in Arlington about the importance of census and the census and being counted this year, and how it will and will not affect them, particularly if they're not great citizens. And they're working with the Asian American Pacific Islander Civic Engagement, or the ACE Collaborative, and their monthly meetings are held on the third Sunday of every month from 2 to 4 p.m. And I believe when this will get posted, you'll be able to see, or click on the link for their Facebook group. And that is their email. They also have an email for their group now. It's aapicaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please. Our Black Caucus is getting ready to reboot. With everything going on in the community. I don't know if Kim Phillip is on tonight, but they've been taking a bit of a break because they're more of an in-person kind of group, but with everything going on, they're getting ready to reboot and put everything back in session. And they'll be working with the Democratic Black Caucus of Virginia to get absentee ballots and voter registration out to those who need it. And I think accidentally that covered part of the link, but also, like Mike said earlier, if you go to the Arlington Dems Facebook page, you'll find their Facebook page, and they also have an email, blackcaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please. And I'm going to pause for a moment, and if Fatima is on, this is her cue.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to unmute myself.
Yeah, you are.
So, yeah, so I'm just so, so thrilled to see, all of the action that's going on in outreach. I mean, this is just, it just blows me away. And, especially this year, it's going to be one of the most important elections of our lifetimes. I don't need to tell anybody that, but I'm just really, really excited to see all of this activity. So I'll just go straight to last month. We had a very successful virtual issues forum, and it was on the 2020 census. We had an all-star panel: Katie Crystal, Elizabeth Hardy from Bryna Helfer's office with the county, representative from census, and also a representative in the community from the Complete Count committee, and they answered a lot of concerns about privacy, about I think some people had concerns about whether or not they had to be a citizen. That was one question that came up. So I was very satisfied. We had a pretty good crowd, a lot of great questions, and I think I'd like to think we made some people feel a little bit more comfortable about filling out their form, and a lot of representatives of communities that I think are going to go back to their communities and report back on what was discussed for those that weren't able to attend. We have an upcoming issues forum coming up. I think Declan touched on it a little bit. It's going to be in partnership with the AAPI caucus on challenging hate, bigotry, and racism. It's right now we have it scheduled for June 30th. We're still working on the speaker, so if everyone can make it on that date, that's the date that we're going to have it on, but stay tuned. And finally, save the date. We're going to be having our 3rd annual Interfaith Eid celebration on August 6th. We don't know yet, obviously, whether it's going to be virtual or whether it's going to be in person. One of the options we're considering is to have it outside, maybe in an outside venue with appropriate social distancing. Again, we're sort of adopting a wait and see approach, and we'll act according to, what we consider the most safe procedures and local guidance. So, as Mike was mentioning, we have a new Facebook group. I don't know if I mentioned that last time or not. It's Interfaith Caucus, and our new email address is interfaithcaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Please check out our Facebook page and Facebook group. Why do I keep calling it a page? Facebook group. We have almost 150 members. We're all of 1 month old, still growing. Sorry? Okay. I thought somebody was saying something. Yeah, we're all 1 month old and still growing. So please drop by, and give us your thoughts. Tell us what you think. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Fatima. That was great. And next slide. Oh, you're already there. You beat me to it. A quick announcement that for the AAPI caucus, they're having their meeting on June 14th because the 21st is Father's Day. So you'd like to join, they'll be having that June 14th to 4 p.m. And they have hustle training on June 7th. And I believe that is a Facebook event. So you can find that on their group page. And the Latino caucus. They have weekly, they're setting up weekly census phone banking sessions. They've been doing it for the last 3 months, educating the community on the importance of completing the census this year and what it needs. They also have a Facebook group if you'd like to join them for their phone banking. I believe they're just getting their Facebook up and running, so they may not have those events up yet, but you should be able to find it on the calendar. If not, we'll definitely get that up and running, and you can reach out to me and email, and I'll help get you that information as well. Their email is also latinocaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please.
Oh, Declan, can I just say something before we go for it? I forgot to mention that our meetings, the Interfaith Caucus, Our meetings are every Sunday at 1 o'clock, and we usually don't go past 2:30, although sometimes we do go to 3 o'clock, but I tried to end the meetings by 2:30. So anybody that wants to join, please let me know. Got my email address. I'll put you on our distro and get you to, put you to work. Thank you.
Thanks, Fatima. And yeah, there you go. The Military Veterans Caucus. Their next meeting will be Saturday, 27th of June at 10 a.m. on Zoom. They're led by John Mayer and Eric Medina. There's the link, so when this gets posted, you'll be able to click it, but it's also in the calendar. And there's the meeting ID, so if you can't click the link, you can just copy the meeting ID and there's the password. And they also have a Facebook page that you can join, and then there's their email, milvets@arlingtondemocrats.org. Oh, sorry, somebody sent a message, a question. Oh, no, that's something else. All right, and that's it for me. It looks like back to Mike with some other stuff.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Declan. And just a quick shout out to you for all of the organization that's been going on. Declan's been instrumental in really getting a lot of these caucuses off the ground. And folks, as you can see, we've been quite busy in outreach. We have several hundred people meeting each week behind the scenes. So we invite you to connect with us. Please join a Facebook group, and we look forward to doing the good work together. Thank you. Back to you, Jill.
Thank you so much, Mike, and to the entire outreach team. I'm just so inspired to see how much work that the caucuses are doing, and the fact that they're growing in number. It is a terrific way to connect with folks in the community on issues that are important to them, and also to make sure that we are reflecting their voices back into the Democratic Party and really getting them involved. And so I'm just so grateful to you, to all, for your leadership in putting together these caucuses. It's amazing. We did not have these a year ago. So really kudos to the outreach team. Moving us right along, however, our next point on the agenda is Beyond Arlington, which has also been extremely busy. And I want to turn things over to Steve Baker to let us know how we can get involved to help with important races outside of Arlington's borders. Steve?
Thank you so much, Jill, and hello, everybody. It's great to see you virtually. And I want to thank Jill so much for letting folks know earlier in the meeting that phone banking is really, really fun activity to do. It really has been in this, unfortunately, in this COVID environment, that so many more people have been home, but they are picking up the phones, and they seem to be a little more amenable to having a conversation. So it has been somewhat a different experience that it has been in years past. And would encourage anyone who has not been phone banking that they should, if they get our email, to sign up for an event, or if they want to go to our Beyond Arlington Facebook page, they can sign up for an event there. Phone banking is also, as Jill pointed out, the one way that you can directly contact a voter and have a conversation with them. And in terms of Beyond Arlington, that is super important right now to identify Democratic voters, to pass on information about voter registration or early voting, or, as we have not seen yet, doing persuasion, or as we have seen in recruiting volunteers for the various campaigns. So super important activity. Next slide. And another great thing is that you can phone bank from the comfort and safety of your home. It's easy to do in the environment where we don't have canvassing yet. Phone banking is a safe and easy activity. We are also, in addition to phone banking, doing texting. We are working with Organizing Together 2020. To date, we have just been acting individually, but we anticipate that we will try to set up some Zoom meetings where we can text together and have conversations back and forth about how the texting is going. So stay tuned for that. That's probably going to be a little bit later in June. We will also probably lend some effort to helping Phone Bank for Takis. I recruited one of our DC volunteers who's very excited to make phone calls for Takis. So we've got that going, and we will certainly make Takis calls available to any of our volunteers who want to make those phone calls. You can find our events on our Facebook page. If you have not been there, please go to our Facebook page and like it. We phone bank every Tuesday and Thursday night and have a Zoom meeting associated with that. So it's, as I said before, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very productive. We are currently phone banking for volunteers for Abigail Spanberger and Elaine Luria, and we've been making phone calls into North Carolina, one of the crucial U.S. Senate swing states. So look forward to seeing everybody on the phone soon. Back to you, Jill.
Thanks so much, Steve. And I love the fact that we're helping out our great Congresswoman from Virginia, as well as, of course, supporting Democrats across the country. And, you know, Steve is an expert at spotting those critical special elections where we can make a difference. So the fact that he has put phone calling for Takis on this slide should tell you that Steve's barometer is going off. This is where we can make a difference with our phone calling. And I'm really grateful that the Beyond Arlington folks are stepping up to make a few phone calls for Takis, as we all are going to do, because again, it is the most impactful thing that you can do in the next month to elect a Democrat. So thank you to the Beyond Arlington team for all that you are doing to help move the needle beyond Arlington and for keeping your eye on the ball in Arlington as well. So thank you so much. Moving right along in our agenda, we're going to turn things over to our most important partner in the county, which I say every month, and it is more and more true every month, the Arlington Young Democrats. But before I do, and I imagine they're going to mention this, but I just want to say a giant congratulations to all of our incredible Young Democrat leaders who have been elected to positions in the state Young Democrats organization. I think it's a real testament to the tremendous leadership that we have within AYD, that we see demonstrated every single day here in Arlington. And it is great that you guys are getting the recognition that you so richly deserve across the state. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that, but I wanted to say congrats to you myself. Let me turn things over to Mike, Dan, and Matt, and I'm not sure who else is going to be talking to let us know what AYD is up to in this month.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Jill. We can go to the next slide. If you were paying attention on Facebook, you would have seen that AYD had a coordinated campaign town hall. So we want to send our thanks to County Board Member Matt DeFerranti and also Senator Favola for joining us tonight. If you missed it, you can catch it on our Facebook page, Arlington Young Democrats. Next slide, please. Just as Jill mentioned, the most important thing that you can do is phone bank for Takis. So in addition to every other group, the AYD group will be hosting a phone bank for Takis this Friday at 7 o'clock. If you want more info, again, you can check out our Facebook page. I'm gonna kick it over to our Vice President, Matt Royer. He's gonna talk to us a little bit about our upcoming town hall. Matt?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So, you know, as many people have seen, we have been doing a lot of, you know, these town halls. We're sort of shifting into a bi-weekly schedule now, but the next one we will be doing is basically going to bring in 4 frontline workers to really talk about what their conditions are like right now as we head into reopening. You know, as we have seen, these essential workers have either been in really tough situations or they have had, you know, minimal protection. So we want to make sure that, you know, as allies, as advocates to these people, we are really making sure that we are raising their voices and making sure that we are, you know, finding ways that we can be the best advocates for them. So I'm actually very excited. You know, right before this, I was able to speak to some of the people that are helping us organize this. We are having one of our fellow Young Democrats who is a healthcare worker in Reston. He will be coming and speaking about his role as a non-medical staff member within a hospital. We have a member of 32BJ SEIU from who is I believe a baggage handler at the DCA, and then we have a commercial sanitation worker from George Mason University. And then we also have a postal worker who's with the letter carriers. So we will be talking with the 4 of them, just making sure that they are able to voice their concerns, their issues, and making sure that we are giving them the biggest amount of aid that we can. So hopefully everyone here can tune in and watch that. And, you know, we will be fielding questions from the audience as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. We're going to go over to the next slide. And just as Jill mentioned, we had several of our young Dems from Arlington get elected to statewide office this past weekend. 5 of the 12 positions were filled by Arlington Young Democrats, and we can be incredibly proud of the delegation that we're going to be sending to that board. On the next slide, you'll see, as always, we have our AYD swag. No better time to support AYD and help us with some branding than now. So I'd love to see some Arlington Dems and some AYD swag. Please visit our website or Facebook for more info. And then lastly, if you want to stay connected with us and all the great things that we're doing, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate all the work that AYD is doing, and I love your fabulous online events that look so professionally done. Okay, moving right along to our county board update. I think that we are joined tonight by the chair of the county board, Libby Garvey, who is going to share with us an update about what has been happening in the county. Libby, are you with us?
I'm here.
Hopefully
Can you hear me? And can you see me? I think
Yes.
I've got my video and but I don't know. Can you see me?
The way I've got my screen set up is I can't really see anybody.
Yes,
in order.
yes, Libby, we can see you.
Oh, good.
Okay, great.
I can't see me either, so that's fine, but I'll just talk to the camera and assume that you guys are there. As long as you can hear me, I guess that's what counts. Thank you. And I know we're tight on time, so I'll just zip in, but I do want to just say how don't put that up yet. I'm just going to talk for a minute if that's all right. I do want to say how very impressed I am with everything that ACDSC is doing. I've been pretty overwhelmed with county work just the last few days and kind of almost forgot about the ACDC world. And it's kind of nice actually to see some familiar faces and some familiar issues. I think this week has been the most tumultuous week I've had in my almost quarter century as an elected official. I haven't felt like times have been like this since my freshman year in 1970 when I was on the mall getting tear gassed and almost beaten by mounted police. It's pretty amazing for me personally, frankly, to be here and watching this all happen, and very distressing. So I'm going to try to go through pretty quickly, just talk about really top line issues for, I think, for all of us. One, the reactions to George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis and what that means for Arlington County government. How our police came to be in Lafayette Park for the president's very disgusting display of political ego. And then I'll talk a little bit about moving to phase 1 for COVID response. Again, I'll try to do it kind of quickly, and we may have time for questions, and I will leave that up to Jill to call. All right, so fine. Yeah, we've all seen so many of these murders by policemen, and I must say each time everybody gets upset. We hold silent vigils, we say appropriate things, and it makes people feel better, and then it happens again. And again, and again, and again, and again. And I hope, I pray that this is different this time. One of the things that I think helps is the horribly graphic video of Mr. Floyd's murder, and it was just so callous. So we put out a, where as a board, we need to be stepping up and leading, and we're all kind of reeling from the shock ourselves. We put out a statement if anybody would like to see it and hasn't, it is up there. Board members met today with members of our NAACP. We have agreed to look at having a civilian review board, which is something that's been around for a long time that a number of communities have done. And we will be reviewing our police training, reevaluate body-worn cameras. I believe our police, I know our police force is quite good. I believe some people have said there are 8 different things that people should be doing for police, that police department should be doing. I glanced through them quickly. I believe we're already doing all 8, but believe me, we will be checking and going over all of it. We are in discussions, and by we, this is not really so much county this is kind of personal, private, county mix up. We'll see how it comes down, about a large event on Saturday, coordinating with the NAACP, perhaps, maybe with the city of Alexandria. I'm hearing about there may be some other very large events on Saturday as well. We may all converge on the district. I'm not sure what will come of all of this. Obviously, it's moving fast. Things will be up on Facebook, and obviously, if something pulls together, ACDC will very much be in the loop. So I think Saturday may be a very busy day. I'm also hearing about some things for Sunday. There is in the air an incredible energy and an incredible pushback. I personally was so heartened that after the horrible event and I knew people who were down on the and Lafayette Park when basically the police attacked the crowd, and that was supposed to scare people. The next day, the crowd was like 4 times bigger, which I think is great. So I want to briefly go over, which I think has concerned everybody, the chronology of events that led to our police being in DC and our pulling them out. So they were down there because of a mutual aid agreement. We have long had, thank you for putting that, we have long had mutual aid agreements. It's a regional thing. It's how we all survive, particularly with the National Park Service. They help us along there, we help them along the Parkway, which is in Arlington at Iwo Jima. We help them downtown with the inauguration. They come to help us on events like 9/11 or large events that we just can't anticipate. So the region helps each other. It's how we all survive. So that's been going on for a long time. And on Saturday early, our police chief was asked by the chief of the Park Police, would we please, our policemen, please help patrol the Parkway to free up their guys to go downtown. And we were going to do that. Then by the end of the day, the Park Service said, no, we need some help downtown. Some of their officers had been injured. And so we wanted help. They wanted our help. So our guys went down. This was on Saturday. And they really were in the background and kind of relieving people at Lafayette Park. It was very, nothing, but our police really weren't even very much involved. Sunday evening, our folks were down at 2 in the afternoon. Their shifts were from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when we had been helping downtown. And I will say on Saturday, each day the Park Service asked again, would you come back? Would you come back? On Saturday, the manager said, because the police chief agrees, but then has to check it with the manager. Usually I'll say the manager does not run these things by the board. It's just, typical stuff. This time, Mark Schwartz did ask us, and we said, okay. We were all a little reluctant, but we have this long-standing agreement. So by Sunday, and they asked us to come back again on Monday, Mark said, all right, 3 days, that's it. This is going to be the last day. So our officers were down on Monday, and they were told to help clear H Street to put a barrier in place in front of the White House. In Lafayette Park, there was a mostly peaceful demonstration going on, and there were families with small children there, as I think many of us know. Everybody in the crowd knew the curfew was going to begin at 7 p.m. and that's about the time they should leave. Suddenly, and our guys were working on just clearing the street. We clear the street often. Our folks are trained on how to do that. That's part of the reason they were down there. So at 6:22, 6:26, and 6:28, there were 3 warnings given to the folks in Lafayette Park that they needed to immediately disperse and clear the area. I know many people did not even hear the warnings. And for any of us who have been involved in large demonstrations, it's really hard to immediately disperse or clear anywhere if you're in the middle of a huge crowd. Anyway, I suddenly, and where it came from, not our side, but the park is square. We were on one side. Suddenly police on the scene, other police on the scene aggressively began clearing the park. Panic and chaos followed. The situation became an extremely dangerous one for frightened protesters and actually for our police. I think you saw some video footage of just the Australian reporter that was beaten up. That was a park police. When the shields say police on them, that's the park police. Our folks had the ACPD on the helmets, and they had shields but no markings on them. So we all know these situations can happen with a crowd, but this time it was caused by those who were meant to be preserving order. And not only that, everybody was put in danger so the president could have a photo op. This was politics at its absolute worst, an abuse of the mutual aid agreement. We do not put, I want you to know, we do not put our police or anyone in danger for a photo op. And we will be no part of anything like that. As soon as Mark, our manager, found out, he called our folks back, informed the board, and we all said, yes, that's right, get them out of there. We absolutely, this board wants no part of endangering people as part of a political stunt. All right, so I will go on. I'm still getting emotional about this. All right, on to COVID and a little bit back to, is it odd when COVID seems normal? This feels a little more normal. All right. So we moved into phase 1, and these are the metrics. We've pretty much met them, particularly here in Arlington. Things are going pretty well. The demonstrations that are happening are obviously problematic for spreading the COVID virus. That's going to be a deal. Outdoor restaurants are kind of problematic. There was a lot about this restaurant called The Lot and pictures, but actually we patrolled and went by, and they were meeting the requirements that the governor has. We could argue that maybe those requirements aren't quite what they should be, but that's what they are. And when it comes to moving into the next phase, handling phase 1, we really have to depend on people's volunteer compliance to wear face masks, to do the social distancing. We are working on supplying masks to anybody in the county who needs them. They've gotten hung up in China, and then actually this administration has held them up in Philadelphia. But we should be getting some masks out in a way that they can be distributed anywhere in the county, and we're working out a distribution mechanism to anybody who needs them. More park amenities are going to open this Friday, our trails, tennis courts, tracks, batting cages, and more. And of course, you still need to do the social distancing. One of the other things that I do want to mention is that the court again stayed evictions until June 28th. So we continue to have more of a little bit of stay for getting people kicked out of their apartments. We continue to step up and be covering people's rent and providing food when we can, when we know that they need it. All right, next one. So to help everybody, next slide, please. To help everyone observe proper COVID procedures, we are starting a program called We Are Covered. And the idea that businesses and residents, multifamily, we love multifamily places to do this, they can sign a pledge that they're going to make sure people have face coverings, practice social distancing, and then they get this certificate and we can post it. And it's just part of the way to signal to people they should be safe to enter. We're hoping to just get this to be just the thing that we do. And this is to help people know where you're good. And in fact, I'm hoping it will get so if you get to an establishment and that's not on the door, you tell them it's not on the door, I'm not coming in. Because that's one of the ways we're going to continue to work this. And then finally, I don't know, Maggie, and if this will play, the next one is see if that will play. I've talked a lot about regional cooperation. See if we got together as a group of women elected leaders and decided we should do a video. And within a week, the region had done one. It's pretty short. Give it a try.
I wear a mask to protect our most vulnerable community members.
I wear a mask because it's the right thing to do during a pandemic.
I wear a mask because I want to protect the citizens of my community.
I wear a mask because I care about my community.
I wear a mask to prevent giving the virus to our frontline essential workers.
I wear a mask because this is not about me, it's about the community.
I wear a mask because I respect and care about you.
So that's it. We kind of had a little fun with it, obviously kind of homegrown, but we are working as a region to try to move forward into these different phases because it's the only thing that really is going to work well. Jill, if you have any time for questions, I'm happy to take any you want to throw at me, but I'll understand if you don't have time.
Yeah, there are a few questions in the chat. So let me just curate this because there were a number and on a few different topics. And so first, there was some general excitement that about your support for a civilian review board for the police. So hopefully that's something that you'll definitely be looking into as part of the 8 measures that you mentioned at the top of your remarks. And so there was some excitement in the chat about that. No real questions though. One question that's come up is just to understand where you stand, where the board stands on body cameras for the Arlington Police.
Yeah, great question. So we looked at that some time ago and actually did a pilot, which you may or may not know. And in fact, earlier this year or late last year, we were pretty much going to move forward with it. However, and actually I will tell you, our police are wanting this more than anybody because they feel it protects them. And what we pulled back for a couple of reasons, and we'll look at it again. If you read, the police officers who killed George Floyd were wearing body cams. And in fact, all over the country, police are continuing with impunity and they're wearing body cameras. The statistics show that the body cameras actually don't really help very much. It's a tool, but it is no magic bullet. They're extremely expensive. So we're going to look at this and evaluate it, and actually I think have a real discussion with the community, with organizations like the NAACP to figure out what we need to do. But we've asked the manager to come back again with another proposal. Again, it's very expensive, and I'll tell you what we decided to do last year was the money that was would have gone to the body-worn cameras, which is just they're pretty expensive. It's not just the cameras, the film and having to process it and all of this. I don't understand all the technology, but it's expensive. We put that money into better quality policemen. I mean, and I think anything that you watch what goes on, it's the culture in these police forces. We've got very educated police. They are very well trained and we pay them pretty well. And you want to have a quality force that's not worn out from working overtime, because that's when bad stuff happens too. So that's where we had put our resources, because that seemed more effective for good quality policing. But again, with everything that's going on, we're absolutely going to be looking at it again and actually having the discussion with our community. But I will say it's the culture of the police force and the community and the courts, right? Because these guys go to jail and then they get off. I mean, they even go, people watch these videos and let them off. Oh my God. So that we've got to make sure that we don't think that's a panacea, because it is not, but we're absolutely willing to look at it. Does that answer the question? Maybe more than you wanted to hear. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it does, and I think on a related topic, there's a question about whether the police are trained to refuse illegal orders. So we understand that that Arlington police weren't calling the shots on Lafayette Plaza, but are they trained to disobey an unlawful order?
Yeah, absolutely. The police chief reassured us about that, and I will tell you, we need to have more discussions, because I talked a lot with my colleagues about this. What I realized, the orders were lawful, they were immoral. Okay, and that's the problem. They were lawful but immoral, and we're seeing that all over the place with the president and what's going on. Right? It's legal, but it's wrong and it's immoral. And luckily, so the police are trained to follow law and follow their orders. In this case, you had the manager and the board. This was the one time the manager actually overruled the police chief, because he had this under, they were under the orders of the park police. They needed to help out. There's this, it's a military organization. You're not in the middle of the battle and tell the general, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this. We're leaving now. I totally understand where the police chief and police are coming from. But this is a civilian government, and we get to call the shots on morality when we can. And it's a discussion actually we will continue to be having with our police. But they absolutely follow the law and are taught to not follow any order. It's illegal. And I will tell you, they were distressed. I mean, the police chief said in his 40 years, he's never seen anything like this. Never.
Okay. Thank you so much, Libby, for joining us. I am cognizant of the time, and I do want to keep us moving along. I'm sure I've noted that the county board has been having a number of town halls on COVID recently and online, which has been great in terms of being able to access the county boards. I'm sure you'll have some additional upcoming town halls, which we will definitely promote to make sure that folks are able to ask.
Thank you. We've got one on Friday. It'll be Christian and me on Friday. And frankly, if a group wants to just get together and just talk about this at some point, and I'm sure my colleagues are happy to do this. This is a big issue. It's going to be with us for a while. Everybody stay well, and maybe I'll see you over the weekend.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Libby. And that sounds like a great organizing idea to me. So I hope Outreach is listening. So thank you. We're going to keep moving in the agenda to upcoming events. Very briefly, we've already talked about a lot of things that are happening. I just want to do a plug. for the Salute to Healthcare Workers. It is happening every Monday night at 8 o'clock. You can do it from your home. We just want to say thank you to our frontline workers who are battling this public health crisis. And so please don't forget about them, even as current events unfold and take us in different directions. Also, we continue to have our series of virtual happy hours as we are in the social distancing period, at least through the end of June. So you can join us on Thursdays at 6 o'clock. We typically have a special guest speaker, but honestly, the events are fun just to be able to chit chat with folks and take a break from your regular day. So that's Thursdays at 6 o'clock. That's our virtual happy hour. And then on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock, we do a morning mug, same idea. So these are just great social hours and they've been a lot of fun. You can get the information about the Zoom links for both of those events at arlingtondemocrats.org/calendar or our Facebook event page. And then lastly, I just want to put a plug in for the fact that every day is a good day to get yourself a Dump Trump yard sign. We still have a few left. I want to thank Mark Teal for his tremendous leadership in this initiative. If you'd like to get your yard sign, all you have to do is go to arlingtondemocrats.org/dump-trump and grab yourself a yard sign. I do consider these placeholders. There's been some questions about like, oh, why aren't there candidate-specific yard signs yet? Stay tuned, folks. We have a little bit of a difficulty because we don't yet officially have a presidential nominee. We will not have that until the convention. So technically the party can't be out there issuing multi-candidate yard signs when we don't have formally our full ticket yet. That is the only reason you don't see me out there on medians putting out yard signs in folks' front yards for our terrific candidates. Make no mistake, but while we wait for that, get yourself a Dump Trump yard sign, make it known that, that we are coming in force in November. And stay tuned, our joint campaign is meeting and working, and I'm sure we're gonna be hearing from them next month about our pivot from the special election and the primary season, which has been a doozy, but our pivot to the general election in July. So in the meantime, grab your Dump Trump sign. And, I think that there might be, some Biden information that, private citizens are putting into the chat, and it's not party endorsed, but it's there. And so if you wanted to get Biden information, Biden or other candidate signs and other swag, I can't stop you from looking at the chat. So check it out. All right. That leads me to our final section of our agenda. We are delighted to have with us a few special guests who are going to be giving us a little bit of a preview about what we can expect when we do that pivot to the general election. I'm talking about the great leaders from our Democratic statewide campaign. So for those of you who are veterans, Arlington Democrats, you know that Arlington Democrats have a joint campaign team which leads our efforts to make sure that our full ticket is elected in Arlington from school board to White House. And we really make sure that we are focusing on events and activities happening in Arlington at a very micro level, but rest assured that there is a macro strategy at work as well. And that macro strategy for the whole state is led by the coordinated campaign, the statewide coordinated campaign. So we are going to be hearing tonight for the first time from our coordinated campaign leaders about just a little bit about what they have, who they are, and what they have in store for us. So let me ask if Adam and his team are on the line, unmute and take it away.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jill, for inviting us today. My name is Adam Kabisky, and I'm the Regional Field Director for the Coordinated Campaign. Before I get too far into this, I just wanted to say a special shout out to the Arlington Young Democrats for their help earlier today for a great event with Senator Favola and Supervisor Ferranti. They worked on really short notice and it was a great event. So thank you so much, Arlington Young Democrats. So as Jill mentioned, if folks on this call are unfamiliar with the Coordinated Campaign, we are the combined campaigns of all of our Democratic candidates who are going to be on the ballot this November. We don't get involved in the primaries, so for now we have Senator Mark Warner who is leading our efforts. But once the primary process has run its course and we have our official nominees, then we will be working for all of our Democratic nominees this November. Currently, we have 2 field organizers who are operating virtually here in Arlington. And in just a minute, I'll ask them to introduce themselves before I get into some updates from the campaign. But first, I just want to introduce myself briefly. I've worked with a lot of you in the past, and it's great to see so many familiar faces. I'm from Fairfax originally, and I currently live in Courthouse, Arlington. I worked in Northern Virginia during the coordinated campaign in 2017 when we won big, and then again in 2018 for Senator Kaine. And this last year, I worked as a volunteer for Elizabeth Warren here in Arlington and ran into a lot of familiar faces who are on this call. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of you again and making 2020 a year of record turnout. And I know Arlington is going to be such an important part of that effort. So I'm really looking forward to working with everyone. That's my email. If anyone needs to reach me, you can also reach me on Twitter or on Facebook. Most of our emails are going to be our name, first name, period, last name, @virginiavictory.org. But with that, I'd like to introduce Donovan, who is working in South Arlington. So if we can maybe go to the next slide, and Donovan, take it away.
Just wanted to say hello. My name's Donovan Hatcher. I will be relocating to Virginia in the next 2 weeks. I'm currently living in Baltimore. I'm born and raised in Baltimore City. I look forward to helping you guys keep Virginia blue. And if you have any questions or want to reach out, my email is there along with my Facebook. All right. Thank you.
All right. And we also have Megan on the call. We can go to the next slide. Go ahead, Megan.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan Davey. I was born and raised in Illinois, but I moved to Arlington last year, and I'm super excited to be here and to be helping everyone keep Virginia blue this year.
All right. Very good. And if we go to the next slide, we just wanted to give you all a few resources to get you started. Anyone who is interested in doing some volunteering with a coordinated campaign right now. Obviously, door knocking is not something that we're doing now, but we are running through a lot of scenarios where there's a GOTV that includes door knocking, potentially scenarios where there's no door knocking. But for right now, we're doing a lot of text messages. We're encouraging folks to sign up for mail-in ballots. With our texting platform, we're able to reach hundreds of thousands of voters. And I know a lot of seasoned volunteers or activists on this call know what the texting is like. So if you want to get involved, the best way to do that is to go to markwarnerva.com and then go over to the digital organizing tab. So once again, that's markwarnerva.com, then click on digital organizing. There's a field there that'll get you into our Slack channel, and that's serving somewhat as our virtual campaign office. You can interact with us, you can interact with other volunteers. It's a great way to stay up to date on what events we have coming up, like future town hall events. And in addition to that, you can go to our Mobilize page, which is up there at the top of the page. That's where you can find every single one of our upcoming events, including texting trainings, text banking. We will be starting phone calls very soon as well, and just everything that we have coming down the pipeline. And since I know a few of you will probably be curious about this, Donovan's turf, he's taking the southwest part of Arlington. So he has most of Alexandria, and then he has parts of South Arlington. So if you live in Fairlington, Abingdon, Wakefield, Shirlington, or 4 Mile Run, that's Donovan's area. And Megan has pretty much everything north of 66 and maybe a couple other precincts, if I'm not mistaken. And we will have probably at least 2 more organizers working in Arlington as well. So looking forward to working with all of you. And thank you again, Jill, for inviting us to speak today.
Well, we're delighted to have you, delighted to see you coming into Arlington. We are so excited to work with you and really turn our attention to the general election. I know that is what everyone is biting at the bit to get to, and we just really want to get it done. But first, we've got to get Takis elected on July 7th, so I know everyone's going to be making phone calls. I do want to ask you guys, though, is there something that we can be doing to help or support you right now, other than sign up for Mobilize and all of that, which absolutely everyone should do?
Sure. So this Saturday at 3 p.m., we have a digital organizing training, and you can find that at our Mobilize page. That'll be a training led by our digital team, which, as you can imagine, is much more robust this year. So that would be a great way to start getting involved right away. And the texting, we really are having a positive response with those, hundreds of thousands of people. And, we are encouraging folks to apply for a mail-in ballot, both for June and for the November elections. So that would be a great way to hop in right away. And of course, continuing to promote our stuff on social media and, just reach out and, continue to keep that relationship going.
Okay, terrific. Well, I'm definitely, I know we've got some comms team members on the phone, so let's absolutely make sure that signing up for the Slack channel and the Mobilize channel are actions that we ask folks to take so that we can stay informed about what's happening with the coordinated campaign. I know that we are already, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get the terminology right, but we're following the VA Victory Mobilize page on the arlingtondems.org website. So if you go to our volunteer section there, we follow a number of Mobilize pages, and VA Victory is one of them. See, Lisa has put the link into the chat and probably could have explained that better, but you can follow VA Victory and a number of other terrific groups that have volunteer opportunities, including us, on Mobilize. So I think there's a question from Sharon. Go ahead, Sharon. Maybe she's got her hand raised, but she might be on mute.
This is more maybe a comment than a question, but I've heard Facebook mentioned 10 times tonight, and I wonder if anyone else has any qualms. I know there's no other platform, but with Mark Zuckerberg's close relationship with Trump and using Russian ads and Russian money and not fact-checking, does anybody else feel a little uneasy about how we have to use it? I know we have to use it, but can we protest? His own staff is protesting.
I'm not sure if we can protest. I do want to do a fact check there, though, and be very clear that information about Arlington Democrats events are available on Facebook, but every single one of those events also should appear on our online calendar, which is not on Facebook. Our excellent tech team has set up a script so that if we enter an event on Facebook, it automatically ports over within a certain period of time to our calendar. I'm not saying it's without glitches, but you should see that occur. So you don't have to get on Facebook in order to look at our events. Also, meetings like this are not on Facebook, they're on Zoom. And we also will post the recording from this as well as from any Facebook Live events that we do to the Arlington Democrats YouTube channel, which is not on Facebook. So we've heard the concerns about Facebook. We have responded by taking the steps that I've just mentioned. So you can absolutely engage with the Arlington Democrats without using Facebook. Our website's available and our YouTube page is available. Plus there's also Twitter and Instagram. So just wanted to be clear about that, and we're on Mobilize. So there are many options available. We do talk a lot about Facebook. I want to be clear. The data demonstrates that for political engagement, it is the best platform. So to your point, we can't get off of Facebook, and a lot of people do rely upon it for political news, and we need to be present where voters and activists
But you do see the contradiction, right, for the Democrats?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? I'm just looking at the chat. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I want to thank the coordinated team for joining us tonight. I know it was a long meeting. Get used to it. It's Arlington. But we're really excited to have you, very excited to get started. We've got, I hope for those who have tuned in tonight, you are clear that we have so many actions that you can take, so many ways that you can engage virtually, on Facebook or otherwise, in order to elect Democrats. Certainly making phone calls for Takis is the most impactful thing that you can do in the next month, but there are many other things that you also can do in addition to making those phone calls to make a difference in order to elect Democrats. I do this work. I spend hours upon hours every day, every week, because I believe that when we elect Democrats, good things happen. And my God, we need good things to happen in this country. You see what happens when we don't elect Democrats, what is allowed to occur with the administration and its reaction to this crisis. Crises will happen, and we can't necessarily avoid that, but how we react to it, we can affect, and how we take action to prevent those crises from happening in the future again and again. We can take that action. We do that by putting the right people in positions of authority. So that is why we do this work. Don't lose sight of that. Please also don't lose sight of what we talked about at the beginning of this meeting. Make this a moment of action. Try the different items that we have suggested in terms of how you can act to improve racial equity in this country. Send in your suggestions for other things that we can post, that we can take this movement and keep moving it forward, build on the momentum. There are so many things that we can do to make a difference. Thank you all for everything that you do every day to elect Democrats, to advance progressive values in Arlington and beyond. It is the only way that we make a difference. We just have to keep at the work, and we do it together. I could not be prouder to be among this dynamic and dedicated group of Democrats. Thank you all so much. You inspire me. You've inspired me to go for this next month, to get Takis over that finish line and to come back here in July, and we are just going to push to the general election. So thank you all very much for joining. I know we're 5 minutes over 9, but not too bad. And I hope that you have a great rest of the week, and I will look for you online and at our phone banks. And thank you for joining. That concludes our June meeting. Have a great night.
Good.